A huge thank you to patron Ilamuse Poulis for suggesting today's video topic. If you want to suggest a topic for next Wednesday's Name Explain video, all you have to do is support Name Explain on Patreon for $1 a month. Find out more by visiting patreon.com/nameexplain, which will be linked down below. Anyway, in the United Kingdom, we have the cathedral city of Lincoln, which is also the county town of its eponymous county of Lincolnshire. The city's name is believed to come from British Celtic roots and means something along the lines of the colony by the pool or lake. Yet, despite this fairly populated city being where this name derives from, the title has become way more linked with something/someone else entirely, especially for those across the pond in the USA. There are many places called Lincoln in the USA. Lincolns can be found from Oregon to Texas, as well as there being a popular car maker of the same name too. Yet in most cases, the USA's Lincolns are not named after the city in England, but instead named after the human who famously bore this title, Abraham Lincoln. We all know who Abraham Lincoln is, right? The 16th president of the USA, the great emancipator, popularizer of the dog named Fido, vampire hunter, supposed inventor of the chokeslam, big beard, big hat, big everything really. He was like 6'4" and is still the tallest ever US president. And for those wondering, James Madison is the shortest at just 5'4". Abraham Lincoln left a huge legacy in not just the United States, but across the globe. His actions and his unique look have made him a household name. But has that name survived unto itself? Not just as the name of a city in England and towns across the USA, but as an actual human last name? Well, in short, yes. According to the website fourbears.com, Lincoln is the 14,028th most popular last name on the planet, with there being just under 40,000 people who have it as their last name. This is all well and good, and hello if you're Lincoln watching, but we aren't in the business of finding just any random person with this last name. We are curious to know if any of these Lincolns are direct relatives of the guy whose massive head is carved into the right hand side of Mount Rushmore, and the answer to the question of if there's any Lincolns left is just a tad confusing. The best course of action to finding an answer would be by looking into the kids of this monolith of a man. With his wife Mary Todd Lincoln, he had 4 sons: Robert Todd Lincoln, born in 1843, Edward Baker Lincoln, born in 1846, William Wallace Lincoln, born in 1850, and Thomas Tad Lincoln, born in 1853. This should give us ample opportunity to find a living relative, but unfortunately, just one of his 3 kids reached adulthood, that being his eldest of Robert Todd. Edward died at just 3 years old, William at 11, and Tad at 18. Of course, none of these 3 had kids of their own. His eldest son, Robert Todd Lincoln, who we will refer to as RTL for ease's sake, lived to the ripe age of 82, dying in just 1926. RTL was just 21 when his father was assassinated in 1865. During his life, he took to law and politics just like his father, serving various roles in the US government, such as Assistant Secretary to State, Secretary of War, and even Minister to England during various presidencies. He protected his father's legacy deeply, and was even there to witness the dedication of the Lincoln Memorial. Man, imagine seeing a huge statue of your dad carved out of marble. That'd be so weird. Anyway, during all of this time, he was married to a woman named Mary Eunice Harlan, and together they had 3 children: Mary Lincoln, born in 1869, Abraham Lincoln II, born in 1873, and Jesse Lincoln, born in 1875. Abe too seemingly died young at around the age of 17, but his 2 daughters went on to have children. Yet as they were women and the tradition dictates when they marry and have kids they take their father's name, it means that their offspring lacked Lincoln as their last name. Yet by this point, the last name Lincoln was far too prestigious to be tossed aside entirely. This resulted in their kids having Lincoln not as their last name but in other places. In example, Mary Lincoln married a man named Charles Isham, and their only son was born in 1892 and was named Lincoln Isham, using the name as his first name. Jessie meanwhile had 2 kids with her first husband, Warren Wallace Beckwith. They took Lincoln as their middle name. Mary Lincoln Beckwith was born in 1898, and Robert Todd Lincoln Beckwith was born in 1904. If you happen to have lost track like myself at this point while researching this video, let me clear things up. Lincoln Isham, Mary Lincoln Beckwith, and Robert Todd Lincoln Beckwith are the 3 great-grandchildren of this president. They're direct descendants of Abe, who were alive in the 20th century. But from here, things really start to get a tad patchy. Lincoln Isham married but never had kids and died in 1971. Mary Lincoln Beckwith, meanwhile, never had kids or even married and died in 1975. This means that by the mid-1970s, we were left with just Robert Todd Lincoln Beckwith, who once again I'll be calling RTLB for ease's sake. As the closest living relative to the 16th president, the heritage of the great emancipator were on this guy's shoulders. Yet it's with him where things start to get a tad strange in regards to the legacy of Lincoln. RTLB was seemingly quite the recluse. Most sources label him as a gentleman farmer, meaning he would farm as a hobby rather than to actually make a living from it. He enjoyed the easy life and things like sailing, all the makings of a modern nepo baby born into a life of ease. He died just 10 years after his sister in 1985, and after his death, he has been given the title of the last undisputed descendant of Abraham Lincoln. But there's that key word of undisputed in all of this, a huge asterisk which comes with this title seemingly. This is where this video turns into an episode of Maury or something. RTLB was married 3 times. These were to women named Hazel Holland, Anne Marie Hoffman, and Margaret Hogan. Yeah, all their last names sound similar and start with an HO. No clue if that was a coincidence or intentional. Maybe he was into it, but who knows. I'm not kink shaming this guy. His marriage to his first and third wife resulted in no kids, but these women had children from previous marriages, so RTLB acquired them as stepchildren. Stepchildren can of course be just as close to their step-parents as biological kids, so while I'm not dismissing their relationship, for our sake they're not in the running to be a descendant of Abe with his name. But during his marriage with his second wife, Anne Marie Hoffman, a child was born. In 1968, during their marriage, Hoffman welcomed to the world one Timothy Lincoln Beckwith. Timothy was born while the two were married, has Beckwith's last name, and even Lincoln as their middle name. So what's stopping him from being the true living heir of the Lincoln name? Well, there's a huge amount of debate in regards to whether Timothy Lincoln Beckwith is truly the son of RTLB. Hoffman insisted that the baby belonged to her then husband, but never provided evidence in the form of a paternity test or anything like that. On top of this, and this is where things get real juicy, RTLB claimed that he had had a vasectomy sometime prior to the birth or conceiving of Timothy. This has led many to believe that Timothy Lincoln Beckwith was born out of some kind of extramarital affair, unless he was some kind of miracle baby that could be conceived despite his father's supposed vasectomy. Him having the title of the last Lincoln will seemingly be up for debate. If however he is the true son of RTLB, then it would make him the great-great-grandson of Abraham Lincoln. And even if he wasn't RTLB's legitimate son, I have no doubt he was treated like one. And like his dad, Timothy stayed away from the spotlight too. He even gave up the Lincoln estate he inherited when RTLB died and sold it to various charities for $1 million. He has since gone on to work as an attorney in Florida and kept a relatively low profile. As he was born in just 1968, he is seemingly very much still alive and pretty much a normal guy just doing his thing. As very much an anonymous public figure, there isn't all that much info out there on him. He could have kids who also have this name, but they aren't public information. And in all honesty, when it gets to this kind of point where I'm trying to find out private information on a relatively private citizen so strangers can watch a video about them, I kind of like to back off and respect their privacy. What I can tell you for sure is that he very well could be the living heir of Abe with that name. That wraps up Lincoln's direct ancestry, but if we look into the wider Lincoln family, then things can be far more fruitful. The Lincoln family is large and full of all kinds of branches. The founder of the family is seen as being one Samuel Lincoln, born in 1622 in Norfolk, England. Funnily enough, not in Lincoln, England. That's just a coincidence that the town and this family share a name. Samuel is the great-great-great-great-grandfather of Abe himself. Between Samuel and now, all kinds of cousins, uncles and aunts have emerged. Many of these non-direct descendants are still around today, and seemingly none of them are more prominent than Ralph C. Lincoln. Not only does Ralph bear the Lincoln name, but also looks incredibly like Abraham. Ralph has very much embraced his family legacy and has seemingly dedicated his life to his family, teaching many people about them. Yet despite the name and the similar appearances, Ralph clearly isn't a great-great-great-grandson of Abe or anything like that. Ralph is instead related much more closely to one Mordecai Lincoln. Mordecai was the brother of Abe's grandfather, aka Abe's great uncle, I think. This means that Ralph Lincoln is the great grandchild of Mordecai Lincoln, and is the third cousin several times removed from Abraham, though Ralph is seemingly pretty happy with just calling him Cousin Abe. I couldn't find out Ralph's date of birth or his age or whether he has kids unto himself, but he is seemingly still alive and a tad more in the public eye than Timothy. What this ultimately tells us, however, is that the Lincoln name is well and truly still alive, with direct links to the USA's most celebrated president. Whether that link be in a somewhat roundabout way with the likes of Ralph Lincoln, who is several times removed from the man himself, or in a more contentious way with the likes of Timothy Lincoln Beckwith, whose connection with the president doesn't quite match up with the honesty that old Honest Abe was renowned for. And yes, I'm well too aware that both Tom Hanks and George Clooney are related to Abraham Lincoln too, but as cool and interesting as that is, their last names are not Lincoln, so we don't care about them. Name Explained depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explained videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/Name Explain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm Name Explain YT, and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, thank you all so much.